So, Rugby League. Okay, we've got the NRL versus Super League. Since the NRL's inception, 12 teams have won it. Since the Super League's inception, talking about grand finals alone, only 4 teams have won it. Bang. Uncompetitive Super League. NRL, 1-0. Salary cap, making it fairer so more teams can win. NRL, 12. Super League, 4. 2-0 to NRL. Team dropping out of Super League. Bradford, one of the winners. NRL, all the teams that I've got listed, they've expanded. They've got more teams now. NRL win again. Over the board, player depth, the lot. NRL comes out far better than Super League. More competitive, better player depth, expanding the game. Apart from the standout weekend where they have the one match in Super League where they go to, I think, St James's Park and play a weekend. One weekend, the NRL will have multiple games taken outside of the traditional East Coast market. NRL wins again. They're just winning hands down across the board. That the salary cap is enforced. Teams have been docked points for breaching it. Part of the reason why Bradford went under was that wage bill was unsustainable. The fans weren't turning up because the team weren't doing so good, and the Burgess family, for one, amongst many other team players, went to Australia or changed codes. I just look at the list of winners. The NRL was doing better. Attendances are quite high compared. When they take the games on the road to Darwin, Perth, Adelaide, other parts of New Zealand, stadiums are packed out. I agree. If London Broncos, yes, they're in the Championship, they used to be a Super League side, and they have been runners-up in the Super League Grand Final. That's why I didn't mention only 8 teams have been winners or runners-up in the Super League. If they can get a record attendance of just over a third capacity at their ground against Leeds Rhinos, third capacity, the game isn't growing outside. And not enough young players who are playing, let's say, in the Championship, let's say in the south of England, at London Broncos, for example, are being developed into Super League players, or being scouted by Super League or NRL. Oh yeah, a player from the south of England here. Doesn't normally happen, a player from the south of England playing rugby league professionally at a high level. A lot of the young talent, we've had so many players go over to the NRL, so many. Some have come back. Some didn't do so well in Australia, but they went over there anyway regardless. Some retired over there. Some have actually stayed living over there. There is a lure in Australia, with the cost certainty that the salary cap brings in, with the fact that they'll be classed as marquee overseas signings, the press that it generates, because Aussie sports press is mental, absolutely mental. It's unbelievable. The fact that only one team in the NRL has not appeared in a grand final, even that's before NRL status, because they're an expansion team in the Gold Coast Titans. They're the youngest team, they've only been around for 10 years. They got the finals footy a couple of times, so even in being a new team, they can still get to knockout footy. Shows how competitive the league is over there. So, on that basis, if all the teams can reach the finals footy and only one team miss out on a grand final, compared to only 8 teams over here, because we have relegation in ours as well, so teams can go up and down the divisions, and only 8 teams ever reach. And bear in mind, about 30 odd teams are playing the Super League. If only 8 teams can reach the grand final in England, compared to all the teams par 1 in Australia, something's wrong. The lesser teams that have a smaller budget can't afford to keep their market players, they move. I won't be surprised if in 5-10 years the entire England national side plays in the NRL. I will not be surprised. Because when the good players go over to Australia, we get not as good players back. Players at the end of their careers, players that right at the start of their careers not at their peak fitness, and occasionally players that have really fallen out of their clubs, so they're difficult problem childs. All our top talent is over in Australia. Most of our forward pack is basically based in the NRL. They're the best forwards we have based in Australia. We've had some good outside halves as well, and good outside back play in Australia. We could actually possibly at one point, if you take a snapshot, probably have fielded a whole England side based on NRL talent, or Great Britain side based on NRL talent. We could. That's the problem. It is the top league to play rugby league in by country mile. The Super League cannot compete anymore. You can watch every NRL game live and free on certain networks in Australia. They will share broadcasting rights with Sky, their version of Sky, and Fox, which is Fox. Or they can watch it on the national network, the Seven network I believe it is. Over here we can only watch certain international games at the World Cup or Four Nations, which are, again, poorly done by the BBC. Well done. Thank you for wasting my licence fee money on what I can only describe as the worst broadcasting team ever for a national team. Well done. And you can't see any of the other home nations play. If that's a Rugby Union World Cup, every game is shown. Thank you very much, BBC, for crapping out on your bidding there. Well done. League games you can only watch on Sky or Premier Sports. You have to pay. You've got to look where the teams are based. They're based in the industrial north, which is a poor area of the UK. Not on the whole, because some of the cities are university cities and have got great investment and they're booming. But if you look at economics, a lot of the areas that the Super League plays in is lesser economically than the South East or South Central. They're lesser areas economically. They're struggling. They're post-industrial. I'm not knocking the people who live there, but the economic, there's higher unemployment in certain areas, or higher unemployment, or there's less employment, or the wages are lower. The wages are seriously low compared to the South East. There's various economic aspects. So they could grow the game in areas where more money could then come into the sport. More money. Attract new fans. But they tend to stay in the north of England, which is to their detriment, I feel. They can get a lot of funding from investors and fans and prospective owners down south who have money to spend. And that could be injected in the clubs up north if they possibly allowed London Broncos to get fast-tracked again. Another couple of teams from the south of England to be formed. It's a possibility. If Australia can do it, we can. It's a possibility. There's a lot of money floating around other parts of the UK. There are some cities up north that are really boom towns and are really financially viable to possibly have a team. But the north of England is, generally speaking, poorer than the south when it comes to real wages. But at the same time, there's parts of the south of England that are also heavily deprived. You've got to get it right. Plus, in the north of England, you're competing against all the other sports that are played nationally across the board. Rugby Union is now got teams in Newcastle, Leeds, Manchester, and they do rather well. Football, obviously, the Premier League, got teams all over the country. County cricket, teams all over the country. Ice hockey, teams all over the country. So, yes, you're a summer sport, you're competing against cricket. But in the winter, what your fans most likely watch: football, rugby union, ice hockey. They're going to go to other sports. And you'll find some of those sports may be more viable because the ticket price is less. It's easier to get to the arena or the ground. Various things. Australia, rugby league is the second sport after Aussie rules. And you normally have an Aussie rules team and a rugby league team playing side by side in the same city. Arenas not that far apart. And you find that the whole city will get behind the teams. But you look at the lack of winning depth, and you look how the Super League base players performed in this World Cup. The NRL is a winning, hands down across the board, in viewership, skill level, quality. The salary cap is working because teams have been dot points, have been lost their titles. So when breaches of the salary cap are really severe, they punish them. There's still issues about the salary cap, but clearly there's cost certainty, or more cost certainty. They review the salary cap for each year, and it does vary, and there has been a bit of controversy over it, but it's there. Top talent's constantly being produced. When players get injured, young players are stepping in and are ripping it up. They find some right gems out there, and some of the rugby league games out there are household names. Over here, you have to go who? Because the media just cover it. The national media cover it. sports media over there is really niggly. Here it's just, if it isn't important. And at the same time, when you've got players getting sent home from a World Cup for being too drunk to get on a plane, and they're Super League based players and Championship based players, and that's the Scotland Danny Brough, experienced campaigner, it also is an embarrassing advert for the sport. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you are a rugby league fan. I want your comments below. If you think I'm wrong about the Super League being not as fun as the NRL, please tell me. I've missed out the Challenge Cup for a reason. I'm just focusing on the league versus league. So, which championship is more competitive? Which championship is more fun? If you want me to do a list on the Challenge Cup and why that is a great tournament, I will. It is a beautiful tournament to watch. Also, the NRL, one other difference, they have 2 refs, we have 1, so the refereeing consistency is higher in Australia. There's an extra pair of eyes on the field. They very occasionally get decisions wrong, but it's less likely. They are depending on the game. So I'll leave that there. Please like and subscribe, please place comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll have another video for you later today.